This is a brand new laptop from Lenovo. This is an IdeaPad 2-in-1. Comes with touchscreen, comes with a pen. This here is an incredibly budget-friendly offering from Lenovo. I paid around 650 Canadian dollars for this laptop here, and despite the fact that it is relatively low cost, it doesn't really cut any corners majorly anywhere. You get touchscreen, you get the convertible 2-in-1 option, so if you want to use it for taking notes, drawing, it's going to be quite capable. Of course, it does come with the pen, which is really nice. Actually, a really nice chassis, very sturdy, great keyboard, great trackpad. Internals look relatively good for what it is. You actually do get into 16 gigabytes of RAM in this model here rather than 8, so it actually does have some legs on it. It's viable now and slightly into the future. And of course, you do get an AMD CPU here. This is slightly down the stack, mid-range 8645HS processor. You can step that up to the Ryzen 7 if need be, but I think the fact that you can get such a capable CPU and keep that cost down, this specific model here may be a really compelling option for a lot of people. A lot of the time when you're buying into a laptop at this price bracket, realistically, there's going to be some pretty significant corners cut here and there. Hard to say exactly where, but sometimes there's something majorly missing with it, or at this kind of price, potentially several things that are really compromising. This one here doesn't really have any major compromises. It just has a few things where, they just slightly decrease it down the stack. However, it comes as a very complete package that doesn't have any real corners cut around it. So if you're looking for a very budget-friendly laptop for people who are potentially students, this may be a compelling option for you.
Okay, let's have a look at the laptop here, just in the builder here in Lenovo. This is, I guess, the American website. It just loaded up. I bought it off the Canadian one, and it was. And you can see here when you come down to this builder here, you have a builder option. You have just a buy option here. So let's come in here and see what you can do for the specifications. You do have two CPU options, the Ryzen 5 8645HS processor. You also can get the 8845HS processor. I mean, for $77, it might be worth getting the upgrade there because you do get an extra couple cores there in terms of processing, and you do get the upgraded 780M graphics. So depending on which one you want to go with, I think in the Canadian one, it was quite a bit more. It was like, for some reason, like $200 more, but for the Americans, that looks like a pretty reasonable upgrade there. Not too bad. You can't upgrade the RAM or anything like that. That just comes with 16 gigabytes, just the way that it is. You do have two different storage options here, 512 gigabyte here, and also a 1 terabyte. $32 is it's okay, I guess, for an upgrade. You can get Luna Gray. I got the Cosmic Blue because that's kind of the traditional Lenovo IdeaPad color there. Port selection, we do get pretty good ports. HDMI, 2 USB-C at 10 gigabit per second, which is also used to charge it. Micro SD card and 2 USB-A, 5 gigabit. That's pretty good there. You have those two CPU options with the two different iGPUs, of course. RAM is only 16 gigabytes soldered. Unfortunately, there's no way to upgrade it or anything, but at least it's 16, not 8 or something like that. And there's no battery upgrades either. You just get the 57 watt hour battery. So it looks like there is actually an OLED option on this laptop here. In Canada, we do not have access to this right now, at least. There's a 1920 by 1200 IPS, 300 nits. It's only 45% NTSC, unfortunately. This is all we have in Canada, but it does look like that in some places you are going to get access to an OLED, which would be a considerable upgrade here. It's only 1200p. It's an OLED, 100% DCI-P, 400 nits. I have used this exact screen other models of this laptop at 1200p, and it's a very, very good screen. So depending on the price of the upgrade, if you can get into this OLED or if they're going to offer it down the line, you may want to buy into it. Looks like the Americans and Canadians right now don't have access to it, but that would be a pretty considerable upgrade here on this laptop, but it potentially could add quite a bit of cost.
Okay, and here is the laptop. Nice little presentation here. And there it is. Nice kind of blue look to it. That's got that, I guess some of the IdeaPads come with this blue color. It's nice. Right? It's not going to be like an all metal build or anything like that, but the cost is pretty low on these. Metal bottom. It's nice, relatively thin metal, but it is a nice little metal bottom there. A little bit of plastic on it. You can see like there's a little bit potentially there. I think the lid, actually the lid might be metal. Yeah, maybe it is metal. Looks nice though. All right, nice little compact thing. Let's check the weight of it real quick. 1,632, so a little over 3 pounds. With the charger, it's a relatively small charger, 1,905. And this will just be a 65 watt charger. I guess there's a pen, but it doesn't weigh anything. This weird little clip thing, I'm not actually sure what these are for, but I think they go into the USB port, and then you can hook your pen up to it. It's like a little rubberized thing. I think that's what they're for. They actually do fit in the USB port, so those are, I've seen those on a few newer. Okay, and there's the pencil. Click up, click down. got a little bit of a tip there, no button on the back, so a couple buttons on it. Looks good though. And that's the actual laptop. Like I said, it's a nice metal kind of look to it. Right, nice and sleek. Fan exhaust is on the back there. You won't have any exhaust on the sides on this 14-inch model. Good I/O though. You get HDMI, which is not common on such a thin laptop. 14-inch, so you do get a full HDMI, which is really nice. 2 USB-C there, and this one is the one with power, but I think you can use either. You do get a microphone headphone combo jack there. And then on the right side, you get 2 more USBs. These are A in this case. You also get a micro SD card. So the I/O on this is pretty impressive. Here. Again, nice presentation. These IdeaPads are becoming increasingly premium, right? Metal top here, right? This is a very low-cost laptop. This did not cost that much money. I don't even know. I think it was like 600 Canadian dollars. Like, it's pretty impressive how little this costed. You can see your fingerprint there. Speakers to fire up there. I don't think I saw any on the bottom. No. So your speakers are going to be up firing. It's a standard IdeaPad layout, just the way they are. Hinge style here, but of course this is a tablet style, so it does flip over, right? Because you can use the pen. So we'll get into all that. But this looks pretty good. Nice, premium metal. Nice premium metal interior here. You can see me reflected. It's a touchscreen, glossy, so a little bit of that there. Camera kill switch up there with a little bit of a bump out, so they don't have to bring that down into the screen. Give you a nice minimalistic look without bezels or anything like that. So nice clean presentation. Realistically, it's actually quite nice. Let's put this back here and we'll look at the inside. The inside, we do use these kind of star style here. So you're going to have to make sure you have a screwdriver that supports that. It's not going to be a Phillips. Most of the IdeaPads and actually ThinkBooks these days, and yogas, kind of the same, similar type of thing, use these here. Yep, there we go, nice and easy. Okay, there's the bottom there. Oh, it's actually a plastic bottom. I thought it was a metal bottom. Cost of what the laptop is and what you're getting out of it actually looks pretty good inside. Battery here, you can see they're actually putting as much as they possibly can to get a little bit more battery life in there. This is a 57 watt-hour battery, which is decent size. Again, this is an AMD 8000 series CPU, so it's going to be very battery efficient, very power efficient. So realistically, that should still have good battery life. Speakers, we can actually pull that up, right? And then we get the primary part of the speaker on the flip side. Oh, you can see here, it's got this, that's the back of the speaker there, I guess the driver, the magnetic driver. That's the speaker firing up. And then there's this extra chassis, probably nothing in there except body, just to keep the laptop nice and firm. So the speaker is an up firing flip of that. NVMe is the only kind of letdown. I'd say it's a 2242 size only. You can still get up to 200. You can still get up to 2 terabytes readily with a 2242, but higher ones. I don't know if there's many of them, but if there is, they're going to cost you. That's interesting. RAM is soldered to the motherboard. Another downside, but this again 16 gigabytes, so at least it's viable, especially at the price. If you need a workstation machine, you're often going to go towards 32, but you're also probably not going to buy a $500 laptop. Wi-Fi is right there, upgradable, not soldered. There's a reset for the BIOS there. If you need to kill your reset that, you can press that button there, reset your CMOS. Huge fan, realistically, for what kind of CPU is in here. This CPU should not run hot at all. And you actually get a nice big fan here with that nice fin density that Lenovo has. I don't think it really makes it move more air necessarily, but it does cut down on the turbulence. There's usually not a lot of noise on these type of fans here where there's like a whirring or an aggressive sound. Dual heat pipe out there, a little bit of VRM coverage, should keep it nice and cool. So it's not anything special inside, but it looks fine. I mean, again, for the price of the laptop, a lot of times at this type of buy-in for other brands, you're getting a pretty shoddy internal on it. So this looks okay. The only thing that I would really call disappointing, it would be nice if this was a 2242. I don't know where they could put it. They added more battery here. They could have put it here and added a bigger storage, but then the battery would be smaller. So I guess it's a compromise. Okay, and here's a look at the keyboard for the inputs. It's a nice keyboard. These IdeaPads typically have nice keyboards, realistically. It's actually a decent thickness to the key itself. Right? They're not super, super tiny. They're not full, massive size keys, but they're relatively thick, I would say, for how thin the laptop is. Very good. And they have good travel. Right? Decent enough travel. Not going right under the actual key. Some of these will go right under, but it goes nice and flush, and they sit well above. So you actually get a good amount of travel. You also do get RGB, as you can see. You also do get backlighting, as you can see there, right? So just go like that. So that's minimal, max, off, auto. Typically I'll just leave it on auto. And that does, it's not RGB, but I actually prefer just this because it just helps at night, right? If it's RGB, I typically just set it to a static color anyways, but that's very nice there. Let's do a quick typing test though. Yeah, so I'm pretty used to this keyboard here. I use them on and off often. So I'm, pretty quick with it. But I think most people will be comfortable with this. If you're used to full size, keyboards and that, you're gonna have no problem here because it is a full size keyboard with good spacing between the keys you can see there. So I don't find that I'm like accidentally going over and hitting it. Significantly better than a Mac keyboard. Realistically, there's not much you could really improve on these keyboards here. They're very nice. They get the job done. They do a really good job for like minimal space, having a lot of snap, very easy to use, and I think most people will like them. And you have your function keys up here, for example. Right now they're set up to like volume and that, and brightness, right? But you can also go function escape, switch that out, so now it works as a full function key. So whatever you want to set it up as, it's really intuitive to use these keyboards, so quite nice. Trackpad's nice. Smooth, not glass, but it's nice and smooth. The body itself is actually less smooth, feels very nice. And the click is actually quite nice. So very nice. So inputting to the laptop here is very nice. Now it is, of course, a touch screen. We can see that there. So we can do a little bit of that. It's a glossy screen, obviously, but it's a touch screen. Let's do a little quick drawing here. We'll try the convertible kind of thing. But if you're just navigating here, I mean, you can do that. You obviously get your like that. You obviously get your left click here, right? So you can do left clicking. You also get right clicking. Right? So you hold that, and then you can get up your right click menu, which is good for just Windows navigation because then you don't have to use your finger and get it all grimy. Of course, then you can also use it as a pen. So like a little quick thing like that, feels nice and responsive. I'm not really noticing any issues with responsiveness. Can do a quick writing here. Screen has a little bit of wobble, but it's not bad realistically for what the type of device it is, right? Flip it into tablet mode. It disables the trackpad, looks like automatically. So we can write like that, or we can write vertically. We'll just go with horizontal for now, and I'll just do a quick little thing here. Other than when I first put my hand down, there's no extra issues after that. So I guess once you get the pen close, it's fine. Like the polling rate is good. You can see that there. Actually, it's really good, surprisingly good. Sometimes I notice lag on these type of devices. I'm not noticing any lag, or even like trailing, so that's kind of surprising. Actually, these pens are getting better and better, and the touch interface is getting better and better. Yep, so it works pretty good. I have no issues with that whatsoever. The palm rejection is pretty good. So the screen itself is not some like outstanding, shocking screen or anything like that. It's 1200p resolution, so it's okay. Again, 14 inches is probably the cutoff for me at 1200p. Any bigger than that, I want a high resolution, but at 1200p, but at 14 inch 1200p, I find to be, it's fine, I guess. It's only 6 hertz refresh rate, again, not super high-end screen. It's only a 45% NTSC, so it's not going to be also the greatest color space, like 100% DCI-P color space. So if you're doing professional graphic design or something, you may want to go for a laptop that has a better screen on it, like a Yoga. They do cost a lot more, but you can get into that. I think typically these are a little bit more geared towards like students anyways, and professionals who are just doing, like a super light laptop, convertible, take notes, do that kind of stuff. Yeah, so you can see there, it's a little bit orange, not quite as vibrant red. Right? Not super bright either. It's not like a 500 nit screen, but it's looking pretty good realistically for what it is. The black is obviously good because it's not an OLED or anything, but it's a glossy screen. I usually find the black's quite good, and Lenovo typically doesn't have like bleeding issues or anything weird like that. They typically do a pretty good job here. It's really going to be the reds where that color space is going to be squished down. It's not pinky or anything, but it's just not quite as vibrant as you'd get on a 100% sRGB or 100% DCI-P. The other colors look vibrant. Right? Green's a little muted, but still pretty good. Come in here. And you can see here, yeah, the greens are a little bit muted here. Normally this would be a little bit more vibrant on a super high color space screen. But again, for a student laptop, note-taking, it's going to be good. I mean, this is like what most gaming laptops have, this type of screen, if not worse, because they're not usually glossy. It's okay. It's definitely okay. right? Like it looks pretty good, realistically. Obviously, if you go with a higher color space screen, it's gonna look better, right? We're gonna do an audio test here, so just mind your headphones. I'm not sure how loud these are gonna get, but we'll see. Ooh. Reasonably loud, around 80. Wow, so that is way better than I thought they would be. You saw when I did the teardown, that style of like round speaker that Lenovo puts out. They often put those in like legions in the lower end legions, and I don't like the speakers. Like they work and they're not tinny or rattly, but they don't sound that great. Rectangular, higher wattage one that Lenovo makes. They make the smaller ones that are like pretty good realistically, and then they have the big ones that are like monsters. These are way better than I anticipated because this is the oval style. Maybe having that magnet thing on the back allows more bass or something, because there's definitely way more bass than I'm used to. Usually that style of speaker on a Lenovo laptop has no bass at all. Okay, here's a look at Cinebench. We'll just get this started up. Bring up this here, check for throttling. I don't suspect there's going to be any throttling, not with this CPU and that pretty beefy cooling. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, not even close. So, we're getting up to like 86 or so as a peak, 87. Not really any issues with keeping this thing cool, even performance. And the fans are not that bad. Realistically, under full performance mode, we're looking at 42 dB. It's nothing, and it's not an annoying fan noise. It's just air. Jump up to turbo mode here. See if it gets any noisier. A little warmer now, but the fans will kick up. Still relatively quiet, but a little bit more noise. 45 under performance. It's getting warm, but I don't think we're getting like brutal throttling or anything like that here, right? It's getting up to around 90 or so, but again, really thin laptop, and it looks like they are, how many watts are they allowing into it? Oh, they're actually allowing more watts into it. That's interesting. Sometimes these laptops will only allow about 30 watts to go into a CPU like this. It depends on the system, but a lot of times these 2-in-1s will not allow it to go all the way up to 45 watts in performance mode. They sit at like 30, 35 max. So it's actually allowing a higher wattage into that CPU, which is interesting. Throw into silent here. A lot of the time these AMD CPUs are pretty efficient. Here we're only at 15 watts, 20 watts total. And let's see. Yeah, the fans have dropped way down to being basically inaudible.
Benchmarks now, remember this is just the Ryzen 5 with the 6 core. You can upgrade this to the 8845HS and get an 8 core, which would considerably boost the performance in things like Cinebench. However, in silent mode here, you can see we're getting 8800, which is quite good for silent mode on a 6 core mobile processor. Moving up to balanced mode, we do boost that up to 10,507, also very good. And then moving up to performance mode, we do get a little bit of a bump, just shy of 11,000. Again, that's pretty good for this processor here being a 6 core. Cinebench 2024, we're also getting pretty good performance here, just shy of the Apple M1. Again, if you increase to the 8845HS, you'd get much better performance. But again, buy the CPU that's good for your needs. If you're not doing very super high-end rendering tasks or something like that, you may not need the 8-core processor. Then we're going on to some 1080p 60 YouTube, and the battery drain goes up a little bit, but only to 7.7 because these CPUs here, these AMD CPUs, are very efficient. And again, you're still probably going to get around 8 hours of YouTube playback here, maybe even a little bit more, just kind of depending. Casual browsing might be a little bit lower. You're probably still going to get 6 to 8 hours of all-day battery if you're doing mixed use here. So very, very good on this laptop here.
Here's a look at the built-in webcam. That's actually pretty good. Again, it's kind of like dulling me out, graying me slightly, but it actually looks okay. Not too bad. Normally, some of these, cheaper, lower cost webcams are super grainy, or they have a hard time with a slightly darker room. The lighting in here is kind of medium with not a lot coming in the front, and it looks pretty good. We'll see how the how the microphone is. However, the webcam, I'd say, is actually pretty good, especially given the cost of the laptop. I'd say it's actually pretty good. Okay, we'll do a little bit of game testing here. This is Baldur's Gate. I'm just in the camp area here. This is at 1200p on medium with just quality FSR, just to boost up the frame a little bit. Let's just leave camp here and see what we can get. I do expect that this will perform quite well. I mean, you have the 88 I mean, you have the 8645HS. It's not going to perform as well as the 8845HS with the 780M graphics, but it's still going to be 760M graphics, which are still incredibly capable. And you can see here, I mean, it's not going to perform as well as like a Legion Go or ROG Ally, just based on the fact that, you know, it has the lower tier, one whole tier down of the CPU. But even so, it really does show what the, you know, the Ryzen 5 8645HS is capable of. Still getting a nice clean 50 here, right? Very good. And, you know, these are reasonable settings. Medium, it's not on low. It's not with performance FSR or anything like that, right? Just a little bit just to get those frames up. You can increase it more if you want. I mean, I probably wouldn't, but you could, I guess, right? Gives you an extra couple frames, but it's not enough to really, you know, make a huge difference. I would honestly just leave it on quality or ultra quality. Just try ultra quality, honestly. Just the lightest. Yeah, so we're gonna, I'd say probably with this, you know, kind of mid-range iGPU from AMD, you're gonna want to go with quality, right? And like, look at the lows, 31 for the lows, 45-ish on average. When you go to the City of Baldur's Gate, it will drop down because it's very demanding, but you'll still be at like a good 30, 35 or so. And then if you really need, you can throw it on, you know, low or something like that, or play with the set. I thought this was clear before, but okay. Yeah, I mean, so I just really wanted to point out, I mean, there's no point in going through a million games here and just showing, oh, what can you do? The point here is just to show that when it comes down to it, you can do a lot, actually. Even with the 760M graphics, they're still very capable. If you really want to game, I mean, like you want to have this as a gaming secondary machine, right? It's very important to you. Just get one tier up. Just get the 780M graphics on the Ryzen 7, on the 8845HS, because there will be a considerable increase. You'd be closer to 60 here, realistically. So, I mean, it's very capable, but I mean, this is a very hard game to run on an iGPU. It will slam CPU and GPU resources, which makes an iGPU really struggle. You know, decide what type of games you're going to play, how modern and how kind of settings you want, and then you can decide on what CPU you want. But if you get the Ryzen 5 here, just rest assured that you will be able to game and reasonably well in brand new games, and slightly older games will be really nothing to this system. So what do I think of this 2-in-1 from Lenovo, the IdeaPad, pen support, touchscreen, convertible, very thin, AMD CPU, iGPU? I think it's great, realistically, based on the price. This thing here was incredibly cheap. I mean, $600-ish Canadian. That's kind of outstanding for what you get out of this. It does have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is enough at that price. You do get a decent enough screen. Again, not 100% DCI-P or anything, but good for the price. You get pen support, which works well. Fantastic for the price. Good chassis, good design for the price. And you're going to be able to do really everything on this laptop. I think this laptop is geared more towards people who are like more of a hybrid user, like students or professionals who just don't need the most cutting edge technology. They need to have some of the features though, you know, touchscreen drawing, maybe taking notes on it. Students or professionals who want to take notes, do some, you know, basic graphic design. It's going to be an outstanding laptop, really good battery life on it, and actually you can do some pretty decent gaming on it as well. Of course, you can step up the CPU. If you want to do serious gaming on it, that will increase the price, but it's still going to be relatively compelling in terms of price, even with that increase in CPUs. And the most important thing is the cost is quite low. Realistically, when you're spending this kind of money, normally I'd expect a significantly worse system than you get from this. You know, you're just looking at like the $600 price range for a brand new laptop, brand new SKU as well. Usually you're getting to something pretty budget that's going to have a lot of compromises down the stack, not just one significant one. So I think it's good. I mean, again, it's not going to beat out some of Lenovo's Halo stuff that, you know, they have like the Yoga 9i, the Yoga 7 Pros and all that. But I think for the price and what you get out of it, I think it's actually a really good laptop.